Tonight, on Tiny Builds Tiny Tips. A tall, mysterious figure has been reported stalking the streets of Ravenbrooks. Word has it that he can summon crows to do his bidding, run for what seems to be an eternity, and can smell your fear. And the last thing you'll hear before he grabs you with his rusty metal hook is, Tonight, no one is safe from the Butcher. Find out the dangers of the Butcher and how you can keep your neighborhood safe. Coming up next. The Butcher Neighbor is a tank-type neighbor who specializes in putting pressure on players and stalking them throughout the game. Although he is the slowest of the neighbors, his activities as a butcher have made him the strongest of the neighbors, and his stamina allows him to follow his prey over long distances. What's even more terrifying is the Butcher's combination of stamina and his ability to smell the fear from players. Fear is shown to the Butcher as a mist that forms a trail following the path of a player for several seconds as they move. The Butcher can follow this trail to keep tabs on his prey and know exactly where they are going. If you're trying to break into the basement, try to limit your movements to throw off the Butcher if you can. The Butcher can only smell fear and track players when he is in the neighbor form and not in the child disguise. Throughout the game of Secret Neighbor, you've probably seen the all too familiar Call of the Crows. The crows normally symbolize that there are only 3 players remaining in the game. But what if I told you it might be a trap? Would you believe me? The Butcher has the power to summon a crow at any point in the game to deceive players and mark a fake key location. This crow can only be summoned every 30 seconds and will be removed from the game when a player interacts with it. If you happen to be the Butcher, you have a few options when using the crow. You could save the crow ability and use it right after you know only 3 players remain in the game. This way, the players see 2 crows at the same time. Or, you could use the fake crow to trick players into thinking only 3 players remain in the game, and you can use the fake crow as a lure to capture the players and eliminate them one at a time. If you're trying to break into the basement though, maintain communication with your teammates and keep tabs on how many of you are still in the game to avoid getting tricked by the crows. When encountering the Butcher, the number one thing you need to be aware of is the hook. The Butcher can shoot out a hook to grab players from short and long distances every 10 seconds. And the hook not only works on players, it can pick up items, keys, open and close drawers, activate sonars, and open and close gates. Which is why I'd like to hear from you, Ravenbrooks. What is your opinion of the Butcher Neighbor? Do you think he is in a good place, or do you think he needs further improvements or balancing? Let me know in the comments. I would love to discuss the topic with you and get a conversation going. Continuing on with the neighbor though, what makes the hook even more treacherous is that the neighbor can use the hook to grab players from above or below, and at such long distances that will prevent players from rescuing their teammates. If timed correctly, the Butcher can thread his hook through barred windows and grab players through the cracks. And yes, this is a confirmed game mechanic, it is not a glitch. But don't worry, if you're trying to break into the basement, there are ways to combat the hook. For starters, if you're forced to confront the neighbor, try to do so in an area where you can close the gap and where heights won't play to his advantage. Also, try to take on the Butcher Neighbor in groups of 2 or more. You can interrupt the Butcher, dragging a player with his hook if you can hit him with an object. You can also throw an item at the hook as a way of blocking if you can time it correctly and have good aim. Dodging the hook is a matter of timing. As soon as you see the hook leave the neighbor's hands, shift slightly and commit to one direction to the side. If you can run backwards while running away, this will make dodging the Butcher's hook easier. Finally, you don't need to worry about the hook grabbing you as the neighbor pulls the hook back. Once the hook has come into contact with the surface, it cannot grab a player on the way back into the butcher's hands. Whether you're playing as the butcher or trying to break into the basement, we hope tonight's episode of Tiny Builds, Tiny Tips helps you stay off the chopping block. If you enjoyed tonight's video, leave it a like, share it with your friend next door, write a comment, and subscribe to the Tiny Build Games YouTube channel for more secret neighbor videos like this one. I'll see you next week. And remember, be sure to keep an eye on your neighbor. Oh no.
Nice! Wasted.
Nice job, dude.
Nice job.
GG.